Hey, it's Graz again. I figured for my second video, considering it is October 1st, that I would tell you what I'm going to be reading in October and what my book club is going to be reading as well. Since it's October and Halloween and all this and that, and almost everybody's reading horror, that's what we're going to be doing too. So I guess I'll just get right into it. The first book that I'm going to be attempting to finish is this monster. I don't know if you can see that, but it is the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft. I've only read a few of the stories in here leading up to now. I basically have about 930 pages left of his brilliant short stories. So that is number one. The ones I'm most looking forward to are obviously the introduction of the, I don't know, never know how to pronounce it. So the Call of Cthulhu. I'm sure somebody can tell me how to pronounce that better. And the Dunwich Horror, I'm very excited to get to. So I've heard lots of good things about that, but really, I have yet to read anything bad in here. Although I did notice that one of the earlier short stories seemed an awful lot like a template for Stephen King's Desperation with Tack. If you've read this and you've read that, then you might know what I'm talking about. But that's number one. Hopefully 930 pages is quite serious, so we'll give that a good try. Everything else for the horror books is on my Kindle, so I'm going to try and show you pictures of that because we're not fancy enough to have it pop up next to me. Don't really know how to do that yet. So let me just... Oh, sorry. Come on. I'm obviously great with technology, as you can tell. Okay, I am going to read this. It's The Tomb of Dracula, the complete collection. I think this is only the first 15 issues of The Tomb of Dracula. I got this idea from Michael K. Vaughan, and it's a comic book that I really enjoyed when I was growing up. I wasn't alive for the first run. I was for the end of the first run, but not most of it. But I got a lot of them at used bookstores. We had Jelly Beans around here, which is my favorite store. So that's number one that I'm definitely going to read. Let's see, number two, where are you? Let me get back to the table, to the front here. Okay. Number two is Demons by Daylight by Ramsey Campbell. Campbell? Either or. Don't really know much about this, so I like to keep it that way. So that's number two. I guess number three if you count the Lovecraft. Then I got this next one from, where are you? From Michael K. Vaughan as well. It is Women in Trouble by R. St. Clair. I think this is short stories, if I remember him saying that right. But I'm really looking forward to that. And then this is a big one that I'm looking forward to. Ripper Country by Jack Harding. I've been holding off on reading this until this month, and I'm excited to finally get to it. Very exciting. Yes, my Kindle is dying. I'm very prepared. And then The last book on the Kindle is a... Why is this doing this to me? My apologies, everybody. Psycho by Robert Bloch. I'm sure everyone has heard of the movie and has, or maybe even, probably seen the movie. I just recently learned that the movie was based on this book. So I'm very, not to overdo the word excited here, but I am. I'll be more me. I'm geeked to read this. Very much. That's the last one on the Kindle. Now, after all of those, concurrently with those, our book club it'll be fine, is going to read this beauty, Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. Now, I have read this book probably 5 times. My mom has read it more than me, and my wife has read it once. Daughter has not read it yet. So this month in October, this is our book club read. We're about to finish If It Bleeds by Stephen King for tomorrow. Excuse me. But so we're going to skip Stephen King for the month of October and read this. I'm very interested to see how this holds up during our book clubs, which are fairly analytical and we don't really miss much. So I'm really looking forward to that. Plus, it's always nice to, go back to, I think it's Elm Haven. Let me see. Elm Haven, Illinois. I always like this book, as scary as it can be, and as messed up as some of the horror actually is. It's almost comforting to go back and grow with the main kids. So this is a big deal. Okay, so those are the things that are pretty much guaranteed. Now, I have a few other books down here. If I have time at the end of the month, when these are done, I'm going to read a book that I have my daughter reading this month that I think I've read when I was younger, but I really don't remember. It's called Moonbog by Rick Hautala. Moonbog. And what's really cool about this is on the cover it has a little blurb by Stephen King, which is really cool, and it says, Hautala's new book is an impressive novel of suspense and dark horror. And honestly, look at that cover. I know that everybody always talks about the covers, and look at that. I wouldn't want to be that kid for all the tea in China. I mean, this cover is the reason I'm terrified of water. And I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbole. I grew up looking at this because this is my mom's book. And it's just terrifying, this cover. Anyway, so my daughter's going to be reading this month on her own, in addition to Summer of Night. And if I have time, I'm going to reread it. So, if I have time. Also, if I have time, I'm going to add a nonfiction book of one of my favorite celebrities, who I dearly miss, and that is The Answer Is Alex Trebek. I don't know if anybody watched my first video, or whoever watched it, if they caught me saying genre as genre, because that's kind of how Alex Trebek used to say it all the time on Jeopardy. And we love him here. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. My daughter actually picked this up for me as a gift. And I'm kind of, I love books as gifts. So that's something I'm going to read if I have time. And then I'm going to show you this next thing to explain the next book I'm going to read this month if I have time. And that is a magazine I picked up in 2017 the 100 greatest graphic novels of all time. I've been reading my way through this list since I bought the magazine, obviously. And I started at 100 and I'm working my way down. And actually, this is going to be a series that I have here on my channel, where an episode will be like, one of these. So this is going to be a 100 episode series. But anyway, the one that I'm going to read, let me get to my bookmark here, is number 62 is where I'm actually at. And it is called The Daughter of Her Father's Eyes by Mary M. Talbot and Brian Talbot. Kind of a neat little thing here. It's actually, it's graphic novel / memoir, which is interesting. It was published in 2012, and the artwork is very interesting to me. It's pretty cool. And the inside and in front, the inside covers are really amazing too. There's a lot going on there. So, The Daughter of Her Father's Eyes. Looking forward to jumping back into this list. Plus, look at that Joker. Isn't he cool? And then the very last book, if I have time after all that, because this is a lot, especially with the Lovecraft monstrosity, is going to be this beautiful little gem that I found at our used bookstore. I mentioned it, Jelly Beans. I saw this, I wasn't even looking for anything like this, and I saw it walking by on the shelf, and I was walking there with my wife, and I went, well, this is going home with us. And it is Stories from the Twilight Zone by Rod Serling. Look at that awesome little thing that I found. And it was like 60 cents. It's a Bantam book. It's pretty cool. And what's really great about this one is it's got different stories in here. And it's got six Twilight Zone stories written in here. And the best one is the last one. It's The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. If anybody's actually watched The Twilight Zone, that episode is so cool. I don't really want to spoil too much, but basically all the power and everything goes out on Maple Street, and they're basically isolated. And, we get to see what happens when the human condition, so to speak, takes over what we want our neighbors to think of us. It's amazing. But this, if I can get to it. I guess that's it. As I said, our book club, our Stephen King book club, which we're going to do Summer of Night next, is finishing up If It Bleeds, the short story collection. We just have Rat left. If anybody is interested, I guess I could give you a wrap-up of what I read in September before I make a series content video about something. But that's about all I have for you today. I appreciate all the people that watched my first video. I was overwhelmed by the feedback and the simple fact that 3 of my inspirations actually reached out and talked to me was just mind-blowing. In addition to all the other people that I've discovered, and I've subscribed to their channels, and it's like a exponential growth, and I love it. So I just want to say thank you for all of that. And as usual, I will finish with an unpopular opinion. Today's unpopular opinion, is for me. I tried really hard to read A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the first book in the Game of Thrones series by George R.R. Martin. And I read about half of it, and then put it down. Maybe I'll pick it up again in the future. Maybe, as I've heard, it just wasn't the right time for that book for me. That's a saying of another booktuber named Criminale. He's got a good channel too. I was bored to tears by the how Martin writes, and because of that, I'm one of the very small percentage of people who has yet to watch even a bit of an episode of Game of Thrones, except for what I've seen in like lists where they show, like the 10 most brutal scenes in TV, and one of them was something called the Red Wedding, and everybody dies. Hopefully that doesn't count as a spoiler for people. But yeah, so that's my unpopular opinion. Game of Thrones is very boring. If you disagree, tell me why. But be nice about it. I mean, I won't. What's it called? I won't censor anybody because I'm a firm believer of none of that, of non-censorship. So just try to be nice though. Just know that if you're a dick in the comments, I won't respond. Thank you. Have a great day and keep reading.